my body. Every size, every line, every girl, every guy, everybody who don't identify.
Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello. My name is Loey. I am very sorry that it has taken me so long to once again get another episode of my Petscop overview over to you guys. I do believe this is my last overview and my last analysis video. In this video, I really want to give you my Petscop theories. I want to tell you what I think of the overarching series using the last few episodes that I had not covered previously. Because Petscop on the surface, when you are just listening to me regurgitate, the series to you, give you what I think each thing means that happens in the series, when you're just hearing that and you're not watching the series fully yourself, it can be a little bit confusing. And so I highly encourage you guys to actually watch the Petscop series for yourself, deep dive into it, formulate your own opinions. But in this video, I will be talking about my theory on the series as a whole, what I believe episodes 16 through 21 mean, especially for that theory, and so on. So buckle in, and for those of you who are here for the Petscop, let's get going, probably for the last time. I think the series really takes a different tone between Petscop 15 and Petscop 16. In Petscop 16, it opens with the following warning message. No controller input has been detected for a very long time. Family, neighbors, police, or whoever. Keep game console running. Call provided phone number. And then this number is blacked out. And it would seem, at least to the viewer, that something has gone horribly wrong. The game has not been played in a very long time. It flashes this warning a few times and then shows a flashing dot in a bed of a ghost room or a testing room. Finally, that flashing dot gets up from the bed and then goes to the TV to play Petscop. And this is where I think it takes a really huge turn, where you realize that all of this is being monitored, not just these tapings of the games. Somebody is being forced to play in this ghost room. Petscop 17 gives us another interesting message to talk a bit about this ghost room, saying the ghost room is a ship in a bottle, flashing on the pause screen. Whoever is playing this episode of Petscop, we don't really have any indication that it's Paul due to the fact that he is not speaking, goes specifically through the sound test menu and plays interesting recordings, such as Care saying bye-bye and uh-oh.
Bye-bye. Uh-oh. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Uh-oh. Bye-bye. 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 Uh-oh.
Then we are shown what seems to be the control screen of these tests. It's almost like we're finally getting a sneak peek behind the curtain of Petscop and seeing what the developers, or whoever is in control now maybe, sees. Dozens of glitched out game sprites are attempting the birthday room over and over again, walking into walls, like completely fumbling, and then some of them will suddenly switch into Paul's character, the little greenhead man. It's as though we're watching dozens and dozens of players trying to figure out the birthday room. Eventually, one of them becomes the Paul sprite or the Petscop sprite or whatever and leaves the room. He actually walks straight out of the house, and several of those glitchy sprites follow him. But he begins walking backwards, and this is when an interesting string of text plays. Hi there. Wake up. You're free. There you go. Thank you. I want you to retrace your steps. The family, as usual, wants to learn what happened to you between November 10th and 12th of 1997. On November 10th, you ran away from your daddy's school building, and on the 12th, you arrived at your house. The question is, where were you on November 11th, and what were you doing there? I hope to guide you to that location with a spell, which I will begin now. You are a girl named Carrie Mark, and you were born on November 12th, 1992. You have a mommy named Anna, a daddy named Marvin, an auntie named Jill, an uncle named Thomas, a cousin named Daniel. I know what you must be thinking. Have these statements always been true? Or have I cursed you? Is there such a thing? A curse that changes your past? Stop thinking. You were kidnapped and spent 5 months studying in an abandoned elementary school. You ran away, crying, ashamed, covering your face. You were blind. At some point, your movements stopped making sense, bumping into walls and doors, dodging invisible obstacles. Find the moment. When were you led astray on the road? A girl went missing around here. Story goes, your daddy used to sit on a bench with a birthday cake, trying to lure her home. Instead of missing girl signs, he put up birthday girl signs, promising cake to the birthday girl. Of course, the birthday girl never came home, to his disappointment. When I learned about this absurd story, I spent a lot of time digging. Eventually, I found out what really happened to that girl. Want to know? Ask. The Petscop sprite, while moving backwards, begins to coordinate itself in that same doodle that Paul had shown himself walking in on the Petscop map several episodes ago at this point, at least I think so. It all starts to blur together, to be fair. The player receives the ask box and simply asks what happened to her. And then suddenly, something begins rising out of the ground, pixel by pixel. It is a grave with a face. Lena Leskowitz, 1968 to 1977. They didn't see her. The player sprite then goes through a bit of an adventure and gets back to the tunnel where it begins dodging cars over and over and over again. The description box reads, "In a way, recordings have the power to raise the dead. They're kind of scary. We finished our long Easter egg hunt." Something to note here is that this was among the episodes released on Easter Day. Petscop 18 has us back in the control room of the game. Whoever is playing this selects extra stuff, and the various frames of Paul's sprite here, or the player sprite, are called Guardian History, which I find very interesting that the player sprite is referred to as Guardian. We see everything in this episode from various pet sprites to the actual map of the gift plane. It simply stops on a frame of the house for the remainder of this episode. Then moving straight into episode 19, once again, we are back in this control room. And spoiler alert here, we don't hear from Paul or really anybody all the way through episode 21. The silence is really unnerving, FYI. Here in this episode, we go to all recordings of this gameplay. Between all of these automated and demo recordings, we see ones titled Family. Tiara and Shelby, Sarah, Ryan, Mike, Lucas, Laura, they go on and on and on through various names and various people who have been monitored playing this game. At the very beginning of it all, the very first ever test, we see Mike. One of Mike's playthroughs is selected and we see a very early version of Petscop, including a super wide-eyed, creepy player sprite. I apologize, that was actually a test of the game, and then we enter the Mike playthrough now, specifically Mike 2. Mike glides through the unfinished gift plane before finding an Easter egg. Again, this was among those episodes uploaded on Easter of 2019. We receive the following text, and it's in quotations as though somebody is saying it. What? One of the eggs was in Daniel's game? What an unfair trick. Have you found every egg in the office? Next, we move into one of the care gameplays, specifically a Generation 3 gameplay. It moves flawlessly into a Bell gameplay. Whoever is currently controlling Petscop in this episode is just moving through these various recordings. Something I forgot to note here, excuse the kittens running around in the back, are these really early renditions of the character entries, which you can see in like the pet files and stuff, so you guys can go and watch the full videos if you want to see everything, but definitely thought these were interesting as well. It flows into James 2, then Phil Gen 4. These are all reels from various children playing Petscop in real time. And that's kind of where episode 19 leaves us off. So on to Petscop 20, which was the second to last episode at the time that I was working on this series. This time we select Marvin's playthrough. He named his file MVM and begins to play, but seemingly doesn't understand how to control or collect the pets. He just fumbles through everything and doesn't really seem to get it. An interesting thing to note here is that he actually goes to the pause menu, then to controls. And we realize that his left and his right are mixed up on the screen. Despite up and down being in the right place, left is right, right is left. He retraces back to the beginning and we see a room we've never really seen before. It's dark, but looks like it does actually belong to the blue and pink overworld. Super weird, but suddenly he is in the New Maker plane, and he's wandering around in the dark, just like Paul did. Suddenly the game begins flashing from Marvin playthrough files to auto files in Gen 6, then to auto files in Gen 7, and then eventually we receive the following text. Hi Marvin, Rainer here. You have to be careful this time. If you start running out there without a sense of purpose, you'll get lost. I'm writing this on July 10th, 1997, and Care is still missing. We are searching. Last weekend, we almost got lost ourselves. Your search is harder. Beyond here, there are no landmarks, but this model of a brick building, though crude, should still be familiar to you. Where is this building? From here, I want you to find a grave. You know the grave I'm talking about. It's definitely out here somewhere. It's unmarked, of course. That's the trouble. You're the only person who can find it. So Marvin begins aimlessly walking around in the dark until Rainer picks up his speed for him so that he can move at like 1.5 speed and really get some legwork done. The video cuts to a Generation 8 auto file and suddenly we see a cellar that we've never seen before. And something odd is in the loading screen when you enter it. The player sees a multitude of things. Again, it seems like a backstage glimpse into the world of Petscop, including roadmap, as well as models of various items labeled casket. We receive the following text. When these are done, they will be great. Anybody who sees them is sure to become part of the family. A chalkboard is labeled, "This is casket 4." 5 words, written on a chalkboard in the dirty building that you inhabit. Moving on to casket 3. After kicking you out of the house, your wife started painting the walls black to cover the stencils. I helped. She made it feel urgent. That Saturday, busy with work, she penned a note. It contained a list of objects. On to casket 2, it reads, as I painted, I watched Care dance around the house. She liked to spin. She became a blur, but in that blur somehow as she spun around from 45 degrees to 90 to 180 to 360, widening, tightening, I was stunned by pure horror and disgust. A sunflower in a vase, casket 1. You showed Care her red blurry reflection in a vase. You said, do you see that? Look how ugly you are now. Care squinted her eyes. The reflection wasn't clear at all, but as you started to describe her grisly deformities, she began to see them. Nobody wants to see you like this, you said. But she soon escaped and bravely returned home. In her bathroom mirror, she saw a clear picture. The next room here contains places. We see that weird shed / cellar where we saw the glitching Care sprite so long ago, literally at the beginning of the series. We see other important places, the house, the school, the windmill, and then to the grave of Mike, and then to the tunnel, never allowing the Michael Hammond sign to leave the screen. Marvin is prompted to ask, "Did you dig?" He starts to type, but then he quickly changes it to, "Did you find Lena?" Here Tool responds, "I don't know." Marvin asks again, "Who is your boss?" "I don't know," Tool responds. "What year is it?" asks Marvin. Here a calendar appears and Marvin approaches the view of the windmill, but now he can control the camera. He passes the windmill and then eventually goes below it. Below the windmill, he is able to control the camera to actually see both himself and Tool. And behind him is a white block with a symbol on it, much like Paul saw above the bathtub when he knew something was in the game's coding, but we could not see it. When Marvin presses pause, there is no option to quit the game. He is trapped, and the pause screen reads, "Your butt leaves a cavity in the chair." And so, Petscop 21, the finale, or at least I thought so in this moment. It opens on a Gen 8 playthrough of Care Dancing Sign. The description box of this video simply reads, "The Sign." The player sprite dances around in the gift plane to the beat of a song. And I think that this is a really sweet moment in the entire series. It's almost like Care is free of Marvin's judgment, free of other people being cruel to her, telling her what to do, telling her what not to do. She's just a kid playing a video game and dancing. The sign that Care is there and that her free spirit is there, at least in this Gen 8 playthrough. And that is it on episode 21. The sign that Care is there and that she's free. At least now she is. If you are watching this video, you have probably heard the theories of MatPat on the Candace Newmaker theory and the entire idea that Petscop was built around the Candace Newmaker case from years and years and years ago. And I don't doubt that that did have some inspiration, at least on the names and dates and stuff like that. But I do not think that that is the story, or at least the overall story, that Petscop is trying to tell. Another standing theory is that all of these people are AI and they're not real, and they're all playing this Petscop to try to beat it, to try to solve this family mystery, and I don't think that personally either. I've also seen incredible theories on the Reddit, which the Petscop Reddit is so good. I didn't deep dive too far into it because I really wanted to present my own theory, my own standalone, but there are so many interesting things on that Reddit and so many dedicated people who are so dedicated to this story. But I am here to give you my theory. And shocker, Petscop is a story about a family. Everything is open to interpretation, and so many people have so many different ideas on what this game means. So it is possible that some of this was simply imagery and there to convey the truth about whatever happened in Petscop. I believe that the entire story that Petscop has been built to tell began when a little girl named Lena Leskowitz died in 1977 after she was hit by a car. There is so much evidence here that Lena was hit by a car, including the fact that your player character constantly is dodging cars in that tunnel scene, the fact that Lena's grave reads, "They didn't see her." It's a lot like it sounds when people report on somebody being hit by a car. They didn't see her. Lena was only 9 at the time, and Marvin is referred to as her friend. So it wouldn't be that off base to think that they were at least somewhat close in age. But as we know, Marvin went on to marry Lena's sister. Lena was reborn, or at least Marvin tried to rebirth her, through his daughter, Carrie Mark. Marvin was obsessed with Lena and obsessed with bringing her back from the dead. So he tortured his own daughter by telling her how unpretty she was, by plucking off her eyebrows. When his wife kicked him out of the house because, hello, he's freaking crazy, Marvin kidnapped his own daughter, Carrie. He held her hostage in a school, his school, for 5 months until she escaped right before her birthday, November 12th, 1996. She was blinded in this process, either permanently or temporarily, and that is when she becomes Care NLM, believing that nobody will love her now in her damaged state. But we are told in the game that we are the new maker and we can restore Care to Care A and close the loop. And I don't think that that was in there by mistake or just to symbolize that we can fix it in the game. I think that was a very real message to be taken away in the real world. Everyone who plays Petscop gets different messages. It's like the game knows who's playing it and when, either because the family is controlling it or because the creator is, who is Rainer, new maker. Rainer tells Paul that he can restore Care NLM to Care A and he can close the loop. So I do not believe it is a mistake that Paul receives the message that he can end the loop. He can close the loop. He can get Care NLM back to Care A, despite the fact that we are told later in the game that once Care A is gone, she's gone forever. We're going to be stuck with this version of this girl crying and scared for her own life and feeling like the saddest, worst version of her former self. And I don't think that it is a mistake that Paul saw that message. In fact, I believe that Paul is Care. This might be a stretch, but hear me out. Paul and Carrie have the same birthday, the same day, the same year, November 11th, 1992. Throughout the game, we are often given messages that Care herself was given. And don't you think that if Paul and Carrie are related, he would remember someone in his family with the same birthday as him, someone who is clearly the exact same age as him, going missing? I am not the first person to believe that Paul and Carrie are the same person. And actually, I think my biggest help in my research was the YouTuber Nor Askey's videos. His deep dive into Petscop cleared up more for me than I can even explain. And honestly, if you're still stumped, I highly recommend his videos as well, because when I tell you the man goes into detail, the man goes into detail. Watching his final videos on the series really left me with the same feeling, that Paul is Carrie. They are exactly the same age. Paul remarks over and over in his playthroughs how they resemble each other and how it's so weird that he doesn't remember her. So maybe those instructions to go back in his brain and try to remember what happened that November 11th when Carrie was unaccounted for. Maybe those instructions really were meant for him. Maybe this is too off base and Carrie is not Paul. But even so, it is so bizarre how this family keeps bringing in other people, cousins, other child relatives, people like Belle, who we explicitly are told is not even family. The control room scenes in this, I think, are another big hint to just how heavily monitored all of this truly is. Why would they have like a ghost room, a control room, whatever, if it wasn't so important to them that these children or these people just keep playing Petscop until they find out what happened to Carrie or Lena? So much of this almost feels like they're trying to like hypnotize the kids or put them in this very specific frame of mind so that they can kind of like unlock the secrets that have been buried here by Marvin. Another theory, which I like quite a lot, is the idea that Petscop is a personal hell or purgatory for Marvin. I think the part where he pauses his game, you see he can't quit the game, and the pause screen gives him the message, "Your butt leaves a cavity in the chair," is such a huge indicator that he is stuck somewhere, rotting away, while he is unable to break away from this game. That is going off of the idea that this game brainwashes people and forces them to play it, and maybe Marvin is even just long dead. and his memory or a version of him lives on through the game. And that AI of him just continues to wreak havoc and spread some of the pain that he put Carrie through. At least that's what I thought until Petscop dropped 3 more episodes. Look, I watched them but did not deep dive into them and have not yet considered what they mean for each of my theories. I can do that final episode and talk about what those final pieces of Petscop mean for my overarching theory, but I also have to be really, really candid about this game, about the Petscop series as a whole. It's incredible. It's masterfully done by people who are so clearly passionate about what they're doing, and in no capacity do I knock the project, but much like Noir Askey said in his video, this series is really draining. It is a really sad series with a really sad story. No matter what theory you take away from it, kids are dying the entire game, and as much as it is so fascinating and the story behind it is incredible, and you know, I think it's just such a cool project with so much stuff to tell, it's also really hard sometimes to deep dive into this stuff and to let it consume you. And once you get thinking about it, it just, like, for me anyways, it just starts taking over my brain. And that is why, as much as I have wanted to push these videos out and get through Petscop so we can move on to another series and do another one of these games, Petscop is special in the sense that it really makes you feel stuff and it really makes you think about all of this, whether fictional or whatever. It just does something to you, man. So I don't feel quite ready to deep dive into those last episodes, but certainly can if you guys would like me to. But for now, that is my standing theory. And if you want to see the end of Petscop, that is what people are widely believing that it is, due to the fact that the final one that was uploaded includes a credit list of Petscop kids, as well as a letter, which I won't spoil here. So definitely go check that out if you guys want to. And again, if you want a deep dive into those, I can definitely do one, but I do think I need a bit of a breather from this series, at least for a while. And I really hope you all enjoyed. My camera battery's flashing. That's my cue to go. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.